everyone! Welcome back to another episode of Daily Native English. I'm Luna, and I'm here with Noah. Today, we're going to talk about something super helpful for all of you out there who are learning English.
Yes, that's right. In today's episode, we're diving into how to become a fast learner, especially when it comes to learning English. We know learning a new language can feel slow sometimes, and it's easy to get frustrated when you don't see quick results.
Exactly. Maybe you're struggling to remember new vocabulary, or you understand what people are saying, but it's hard to respond quickly. Or maybe listening to native speakers feels overwhelming because they speak so fast.
If any of that sounds familiar, don't worry, you're not alone. We've all been there. But the good news is, by the end of this episode, we're going to share some practical tips that will help you learn faster and make more progress in less time.
And not only that, but we'll also recommend an amazing free course on Coursera that will teach you the science behind learning and how to use it to your advantage. Whether you're learning English or any other subject, this course can really help boost your learning skills.
So stick with us for the next few minutes as we walk through some tried and true methods that can make a huge difference in your English learning journey. So, Luna, have you ever heard of the active recall method? It's one of the most powerful learning techniques out there, especially for language learners.
Yeah, I've heard of it. It's all about training your brain to remember things by actively retrieving the information.
Exactly. And that's a huge part of why it works. Instead of just reading or rereading your notes or listening passively, active recall pushes you to pull the information out of your brain without looking at the material. It's like exercising your memory muscles.
That's so true. Think about this. Have you ever read a list of new English words and felt like you understood them, but the next day, boom, it's like they all vanished from your brain?
Yes, that happens to a lot of people. You feel confident in the moment because the words are right in front of you, but when you don't test yourself, it's hard to retain them. Active recall forces you to check whether you really remember that word or sentence structure.
Exactly. A great way to use active recall is to quiz yourself. For example, if you're learning 10 new vocabulary words, write them down, cover the definitions, and then try to recall what they mean. Even if you can't remember all of them, that effort alone strengthens your memory.
Another practical way is to use flashcards, either physical ones or apps like Anki or Quizlet. Every time you see a word, try to remember what it means before flipping the card. It's so much better than just reading through lists.
Yes, and the cool part is you can apply this to grammar too. Let's say you're trying to get better at using the past tense. Instead of just reading grammar rules, try making sentences on your own. Then, quiz yourself later. You'll realize you're learning much faster when you test yourself.
Totally. And if you ever get stuck or realize you keep forgetting certain things, that's your brain telling you to spend a little more time on that area. The more you struggle to recall something, the better you'll remember it in the long run.
Exactly. So, if you're listening and feeling like the things you're learning just aren't sticking, try incorporating active recall into your study sessions. It really makes a difference in how fast and well you remember things. So, Noah, once learners start using active recall, what's the next step to speed up their English learning?
Great question. The next step is to really engage with the material. Learning isn't just about passively listening or reading. It's more effective when you're actively involved. In other words, solving problems and having real-life experiences in English.
Right. It's like when you're learning grammar. Instead of just memorizing rules, try to figure it out by context. For example, you can hear how natives use a certain tense in conversation and then try to apply it yourself. That's problem solving in action.
Exactly. Let's say you're watching a TV show, and the characters are using different sentence structures. Rather than just following the subtitles, pause and think, why did they use this tense or phrase here? You're breaking down language the way it's used, which helps you understand the patterns more deeply.
And you know what? Making mistakes is key too. We learn faster when we try something, make mistakes, and then fix them. Don't be afraid of sounding imperfect. It's part of the process. Every mistake is a chance to improve.
Yes, that's such an important point. In fact, it's the same approach we use in this podcast. Every episode, we break down real-life situations and discuss the language and challenges that come with them. This way, listeners not only learn new expressions, but also figure out how to solve language problems themselves in similar situations.
Exactly. We've covered everything from office small talk to travel conversations, each time giving you real scenarios to practice. You can't just study English in isolation. It's about using it in real life and learning how to navigate conversations as they come.
That's why we encourage you to experiment with what you learn. Whether it's trying out new phrases with friends, writing short stories in English, or asking for directions on your next trip, the more you put yourself in real-life situations, the faster you'll grow.
And if you're unsure how to do this, just take a look back at our previous episodes. Each one is like a mini guide to handling specific situations in English, from work to travel to daily life.
Absolutely. So remember, don't just sit back and consume content. Actively engage with English in your daily life, and don't shy away from mistakes. They're your stepping stones to fluency. You know, Luna, a lot of people learn English by watching videos or TV shows, right? But there's a trick that can really speed things up: watching videos with subtitles.
Yes, it's such a great strategy. Watching shows or YouTube videos with English subtitles can help you connect what you hear with how the words are spelled and used in sentences. It's like combining listening practice with reading practice.
Exactly. When you watch with subtitles, you're training your ears to pick up on sounds while also reinforcing the spelling and structure of the language. It's perfect for building listening skills, especially if you're struggling to understand fast conversations.
Plus, it's super helpful for learning new vocabulary and context. You might hear a word in a sentence, and with the subtitles, you can immediately see how it's spelled and used. It helps solidify your understanding much faster than just reading from a textbook.
Definitely. And here's a pro tip. Once you get comfortable, start gradually removing the subtitles. Maybe you start by just watching with subtitles for the first half of an episode, then turn them off for the second half. This helps you transition into understanding spoken English naturally.
Exactly. At first, it might feel tough, but over time, you'll notice that your brain is getting better at catching words and phrases on its own, without relying on the subtitles.
And don't forget, even native speakers sometimes have to focus on what's being said in fast conversations. So watching without subtitles is great practice for tuning into the natural flow and rhythm of English.
So, if you're a visual learner or love watching videos, try this out. Start with subtitles, but slowly challenge yourself to go without them. You'll be surprised at how much your listening improves. Alright, Noah. So we've talked about learning with subtitles, but another great way to become a fast learner is to really immerse yourself in English. And the best way to do that? Join English-speaking communities.
Yes, this is such a powerful method. When you're part of a community where English is the primary language, you're not just studying English, you're using it in real conversations every day. That's how you start thinking in English, not just translating in your head.
Exactly. And the cool thing is, with the internet, you can join these communities online or offline, depending on what's available. Some of the best online platforms for practicing English are Clubhouse, italki, HelloTalk, and Tandem. These apps let you connect with native speakers from around the world and practice speaking one-on-one or in group discussions.
Yes, on platforms like italki and Tandem, you can even have regular conversations with tutors or language partners. It's almost like having a personal coach who helps you practice speaking and gives you feedback on how to improve.
And if you prefer real-life conversations, you can look for local English-speaking events or groups on websites like Eventbrite. There are often meetups or language exchange events in many cities where you can practice English with other learners or native speakers.
Exactly. Just being in a room with people who speak English forces you to practice your conversational skills. You'll start noticing how much faster you improve when you're actively using the language, instead of just studying alone.
Plus, it helps you with more informal, conversational English, the kind of language that textbooks don't always teach. You get to hear slang, expressions, and phrases that people use in daily life, which can make a big difference when trying to sound more natural.
Yes, it's all about exposure. The more you surround yourself with English, the faster you'll pick up on things like pronunciation, sentence structure, and even cultural references. It really speeds up the process of becoming fluent.
So, whether it's online or offline, find an English-speaking community that fits your schedule and start engaging with it. You'll be amazed at how much progress you can make just by chatting with others.
Absolutely. It's one of the fastest ways to learn, and it doesn't even feel like studying. It's just real communication. So, Luna, here's something that a lot of English learners struggle with. They can understand English, but when it comes to speaking or writing, it feels like a whole different challenge.
Oh, I hear that all the time. It's like you can follow a conversation or read an article, but when it's your turn to express your thoughts, the words just don't come out as smoothly. But here's the thing. Expressing your thoughts fluently and clearly is a major sign that you're really mastering a language.
Exactly. And this gap between understanding and speaking or writing is super common. The good news is you can close that gap with practice. The more you speak and write in English, the faster you'll improve.
That's right. It's one thing to know a word in your head, but being able to use it in a sentence, whether speaking or writing, is another skill. And the only way to build that skill is by using English every day. Start small and write a short diary entry or even a quick social media post in English every day.
Yes, even just a few sentences a day can make a huge difference. You'll start to get more comfortable with forming sentences, and over time, you'll notice that it becomes easier and faster to express your thoughts.
And here's a fun idea. We'd love to see our listeners share their daily writing with us. Whether it's a short diary entry or a comment about what you learned today, drop it in the comments section of this episode. It's a great way to build the habit of writing every day, and you might even get some helpful feedback from other listeners.
Exactly. Plus, writing daily forces you to think in English, which helps you become more fluent in expressing yourself. The same goes for speaking. Even if you feel shy at first, make a habit of practicing out loud, whether it's with a language partner or just talking to yourself in front of a mirror.
Yeah, talking to yourself works too. The important thing is that you're getting comfortable producing English, not just understanding it passively. Over time, your speaking and writing will start to catch up with your comprehension, and that's when you'll see real progress.
So, for everyone listening, remember, don't just focus on understanding English. Practice speaking and writing every day, and you'll close that gap faster than you think.
All right, Noah, we've covered some really practical tips so far. Now, let's talk about something that's not just useful, but also free. A fantastic course that's helped so many learners become more efficient at learning anything, including English.
Yes, it's called Learning How to Learn by Dr. Barbara Oakley, and it's available on Coursera. The best part? It's totally free to enroll in. And trust me, this course is a game changer.
Absolutely. This course breaks down practical learning strategies that you can apply to learning English faster. You'll learn how to use memory techniques, which is super useful for remembering vocabulary, and how to beat procrastination, something that holds so many learners back.
Exactly. It also dives into effective study habits, like how to break down complex subjects into smaller chunks so that you can learn them more easily and efficiently. It's not just about English, it's about understanding how your brain works and how to make the most of your study time.
And the cool thing is, it's not just for students. In fact, many college teachers are recommending this course to their students because it teaches methods that work for learning any subject, including languages. So, whether you're a beginner or trying to level up your fluency, this course can help.
Plus, the techniques you'll learn can be applied immediately. You'll start seeing changes in how you approach learning English, whether it's remembering tricky grammar rules or staying motivated to practice every day.
And we've made it easy for you to access. We'll put the link to the course in the description of this episode, so you can sign up today and start improving your learning skills right away. Did we mention it's free?
It's such an amazing resource, and honestly, there's no reason not to check it out. Even just dedicating an hour or two a week to this course can help you become a faster, more effective learner.
So, if you're serious about improving your English or any other skill, definitely take a look at Learning How to Learn. It's free, accessible, and packed with insights that can really transform the way you study.
We highly recommend it. Again, you can find the link to the course in the description of this episode. Happy learning!
Before we wrap up, let's quickly recap the key methods we discussed today for becoming a faster English learner.
First up, we talked about using active recall, quizzing yourself regularly to make sure you're really remembering new vocabulary and grammar.
Then, we highlighted the importance of engaging with communities, whether online or in person, to practice conversational English with real people. Platforms like Clubhouse, italki, and even local meetups are great ways to immerse yourself in the language.
And don't forget about writing daily. Even if it's just a short diary entry or a social media post, getting into the habit of writing will help close the gap between understanding and expressing yourself.
And finally, we recommended a fantastic free resource, the Learning How to Learn course on Coursera. It's filled with practical strategies that will help you master English faster, so don't miss out on that.
Exactly. Try these methods out, and we're sure you'll notice a difference in how quickly and confidently you're learning English.
And stay tuned because in the next part, we'll be summarizing some useful expressions we used in today's episode, so you can add them to your vocabulary.
So let's dive into those phrases. Immerse. To immerse means to deeply involve yourself in something, especially to learn or experience it fully. When you immerse yourself in a language, you surround yourself with it in daily life, like listening, speaking, or reading in that language as much as possible. Example: if you want to learn English quickly, immerse yourself by listening to podcasts and speaking with native speakers every day.
Retrieving. Retrieving means bringing information back from memory. When you retrieve something, you're recalling it without looking at the source. It's a key concept in active recall, which helps strengthen memory. Example: to practice active recall, quiz yourself on new vocabulary and try retrieving the words from memory without checking your notes.
Engage. To engage means to participate or get involved in something actively. Engaging with a language means using it in real situations, like joining conversations, asking questions, or solving problems. Example: it's important to engage with a language by joining English-speaking communities and practicing with others.
Context. Context refers to the surrounding words or situation that give meaning to something. Understanding the context of a sentence helps you figure out the meaning of unfamiliar words. Example: when you come across a word you don't know, try to understand its meaning by looking at the context in which it's used.
Exposure. Exposure means being in contact with something regularly, allowing you to become familiar with it. The more exposure you have to English, through listening, reading, and speaking, the faster you'll learn. Example: the more exposure you have to spoken English, the easier it becomes to understand conversations.
Exposure. Exposure means being in contact with something regularly, allowing you to become familiar with it. The more exposure you have to English, through listening, reading, and speaking, the faster you'll learn. Example: the more exposure you have to spoken English, the easier it becomes to understand conversations.
Before we wrap up, we want to remind you to check out the Learning How to Learn course on Coursera. It's an incredible resource for anyone looking to speed up their learning process. And the best part? It's completely free.
And remember, learning English is a journey. It takes time, but with the right methods, you can absolutely speed up your progress.
Exactly. Don't be discouraged if it feels slow sometimes. That's normal. But by practicing consistently and applying these techniques, you'll find yourself getting better faster than you might think.
You've got this. Stay committed. Keep immersing yourself in the language and celebrate the small wins along the way. Every little bit counts, and you're moving closer to fluency with every step.
We believe in you. Stick with it, try out the methods we talked about today, and you'll be surprised at how much you can achieve.
We can't wait to hear about your progress, and as always, we're here to support you every step of the way.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye for now.